They don't breathe, they don't speak, and no matter how many times you shoot them, they just keep coming. Stalking the fog-choked streets around the old casino, the ghost people of the Sierra Madre shuffle through the toxic cloud in heavy hazmat suits, their faces hidden behind masks, green eyes illuminating the streets. But perhaps the most unsettling part about them isn't how hard they are to kill, rather, it's their origins. Let's talk about it. What exactly are the ghost people of the Sierra Madre? Chapter 1: The Sierra Madre. The ghost people can't be understood without first looking at the place that made them. Before the Great War, the Sierra Madre was meant to be the ultimate escape from the world's troubles. Wealthy industrialist Frederick Sinclair poured his fortune into building a casino and resort unlike anything else in the world. Guests would enjoy high-end entertainment, hidden luxuries, and a self-contained villa that promised safety and exclusivity. It was a place to begin again. It was marketed as a paradise, a monument to Sinclair's idea of perfection and brighter future. But that dream never officially opened its doors. When the bombs fell, the unfinished casino and resort went into a lockdown, trapping guests and workers alike. Eventually, its surrounding villa was sealed off by a strange rust-colored mist. Known simply as the Cloud, this toxic haze seeped through every alley and courtyard. It corroded metal, poisoned the air, and ate away at anyone who stayed too long. Entire buildings were coated in its residue, giving the place a sickly reddish glow. What remained was an elaborate death trap built by pre-war ambition and kept alive by failed technology. It became an empty resort where human greed and science collided, leaving behind an environment that both kills slowly and preserves what it touches. This is the world in which the ghost people roam. Chapter 2: The Cloud. But this deadly mist that now smothers the Sierra Madre didn't appear out of nowhere. Behind these silent courtyards and halls is a chain of choices made long before the bombs fell. Choices that turned what was meant to be a luxury resort into a full-on laboratory. Frederick Sinclair's dream needed more than ambition. It needed funding, and it needed advanced technology. To secure both, he struck a quiet deal with the scientists at the Big Empty. They would provide funding and cutting-edge equipment in exchange for using the Sierra Madre as a kind of testing ground. What Sinclair didn't realize was that the researchers saw his project as the perfect place to push dangerous experiments into the real world. One of those projects was a new chemical compound crafted at the Z-43 Innovative Toxins plant. The first sign of trouble came from a ventilation failure at the Puesta del Sol switching station in the villa. A terminal describes a rust-colored gas leak that spread through the switching station, causing choking and vomiting within seconds. 3 workers ended up in the clinic before the source was even identified. Sinclair, desperate to keep the construction moving and avoid outside scrutiny, demanded a fix. Big Empty responded with a specialized hazmat suit designed to protect against this harmful toxin. On paper, the suits were the solution. In practice, however, in typical Fallout fashion, they were another experiment. They were heavy and awkward, and locked with clasps that required another person to undo. Unable to make out conversation, workers had to rely on hand signals to communicate. And the suits weren't even that protective either. While the person inside was safe, the suits corroded quickly in the toxic air. The gas ate through the locks, sealing some men inside until they were cut free with experimental cosmic knives. All the while, Big Empty quietly collected data. The workers thought they were building a state-of-the-art resort, but it was the Big Empty who were really building something sick. Whether they knew it or not, the toxic cloud and the ineffective suits would kickstart the slow creation of what are now known as the Ghost People. Chapter 3: The Great War. Leading up to the Great War, the Sierra Madre was already a place of danger. but the bombs made it something else entirely. Guests inside the casino itself were killed almost immediately, cut down by the automated hologram security. The remaining construction workers, on the other hand, faced a slower, more insidious demise. Trapped in their heavy hazmat suits and isolated in the unfinished villa, they were left with nowhere else to go. Over time, as infrastructure crumbled, the toxic cloud began to spread unchecked. Rust-colored mist filled every courtyard, hallway, and ventilation shaft, slowly poisoning everything it touched. The exact changes that these workers underwent in the months and years after the Great War is unclear, but the results of the cloud's exposure were obvious. Chapter 4: The Ghost People. From this catastrophe came the Ghost People, creatures locked inside their corroded hazmat suits and reshaped by prolonged exposure to the cloud. The toxic mist altered them. When dismembered, we can see that their flesh is this yellowed, waxy tone. They exhale a green gas from their masks, and Dog mentions that they taste like a mix of plastic and copper, not dissimilar from the apparent taste of the cloud itself. Whatever they have become, they are simply no longer human. They typically have hunched backs, twitchy movements, and a dragging, twisting walk that looks more like a puppet being yanked forward than a person walking. In terms of killing a ghost person, gunfire or melee strikes can knock a ghost person down, but only briefly. After a few twitching spasms and a rush of gas from their rebreather, they rise and continue their attack. Dismemberment or disintegration is really the only sure way to stop them. It's also speculated that the cloud itself slows their decay, granting them a kind of unnatural longevity similar to ghouls or supermutants. Now, despite their eerie appearance and exceptional fortitude, the ghost people are not entirely mindless. They retain enough intelligence to set traps, craft crude spears and explosives, and have used bait to lure intruders. They also show a strange fascination with the Sierra Madre's holograms. God describes it as a kind of ghost worship. Everything about the ghost people, from their resilience to their eerie silence to their fixation on the holograms, all of it traces back to these same forces that created them. The ghost people aren't just creepy and tough enemies. They're the product of greed, secrecy, and a toxic world that refused to let anything die and wither out. Chapter 5: The Haunting Message. Fallout often uses its world as warning signs. Being a monster is all fine and dandy, but what is really the deeper meaning behind the ghost people's inclusion in the world of Fallout? Well, I think the ghost people aren't simply another threat to shoot or avoid. They show what happens when technology and ambition outlive basic humanity. Once they were simply workers preparing the Sierra Madre for its grand opening. Then they were exposed to the toxic cloud, the hazmat suits locked shut, and their escape became impossible. And I think that's what makes them truly unsettling. They're not supernatural as the name suggests, but they might as well be. Trapped in their suits, they wander aimlessly, acting on their pre-war instincts and routines long after their purpose has faded. They hunt intruders, guard the casino, and repeat these same motions without understanding why. In a way, they reflect everyone who has ever been drawn to the Sierra Madre. They're stuck in the past. The ghost people exist as proof that some mistakes last longer than a lifetime. That's all from me today, folks. If you like the video, be sure to share and subscribe. Join the Discord. Have a good rest of your day. Cheers.
This is what the old world stood for, even with bombs about to rain down on them. Now, look at it. Beautiful now its guests are all dead. Better this way. Quiet. How the Mojave should be.